students. Hope you're all well. Afternoon, everybody will be sleepy and I'm still teaching you law. Sorry for that, but still you have to learn it. So, what were we dealing with? Yes, we were talking about sanctuaries, right? We talked about sanctuaries in today's lecture. I think only 18 people and 20 people are constantly attending lectures, right? So, very hard for you when you come, okay? I won't be constantly explaining you everything when you come, okay? It will be just revision when you come of this chapter. So, tell your friends to attend online lectures, okay? That will be good for them also. So, we learned about sanctuaries. Now, sanctuary was like a refugee to an abandoned, okay? For example, we learned about the wild ass today, right? Indian wild ass sanctuary, we were learning it. Sanctuary, we're done with that. Then now is known as, now we have to learn about national parks, okay? National park, you have so many national parks in your state, right? So these are areas that are set by government to conserve the natural environment. These are not areas that are like already sanctuaries or something. These are like government tells that this area is a sanctuary, national park, okay, set by government. There are boundaries fixed and are defined. The boundaries of these national parks are fixed and defined, okay, clearly defined. Here no human activity is allowed, okay, no tribes, nothing. In a national park, no human activity is allowed, okay. No person shall destroy, remove or exploit any wildlife from a national park, or destroy, damage the habitat of any wild animal, or deprive any wild animal of its habitat within a national park. So inside a national park you can't stay. Like sanctuaries you could stay inside, right? There 15 tribes are all there, you could all stay inside the sanctuaries, okay, no problem. You also could go and stay inside the sanctuaries. You have any persons you know in sanctuary, you could have gone there also and stayed there. Communities were there in sanctuaries. But national park, nothing like that, okay. National park, no human activities are allowed, okay. Humans are not supposed to go inside and rupture any. There are safaris and all in the national park. That is a different thing. That is by the park officers only, right? Like ourselves, we cannot get into the park and roam around like that, okay. And we are not allowed to pluck or remove or exploit any wildlife. May it be plants, birds, or animals, whatever it is. If you are doing things like that, you will be punished by law. Okay, we have seen whatever happens when you pluck a plant and all, right, from wildlife sanctuaries. So, sorry, by national parks, that is mainly national parks, okay, protected. This area is protected by the government. The area is clearly defined, okay, clear boundaries are there. It's clearly defined. For example, for some tiger sanctuaries, tiger national parks will be there, okay. And we have so many national parks in India also. We have the Bandipur National Park in Karnataka, okay. We have the Kaziranga National Park in Assam, okay. Kaziranga is a good national park in Assam. Bandipur is there in Karnataka. There are so many. Jim Corbett is there. So many national parks in India, okay. So these are the areas that are set by the government to conserve the natural environment, protecting the natural environment, okay. Not like you're taking some species and putting them in a natural. It's like you're protecting the entire environment there, okay. So no human activity allowed here. Kaziranga, the one-horned Indian rhino. You have the Indian rhino here, okay. Kaziranga. Kaziranga is in Assam. It's a beautiful park. You can visit there once. It will be beautiful. And we have the one-horned Indian rhinos there, okay. Rhinoceros in Kaziranga. So Kaziranga is a national park, World Heritage Center, okay. Then you have other these small topics, that is conservation reserve. The state government may declare an area, particularly those adjacent to sanctuaries or parks, as conservation or reserve areas after consulting with local communities. So if there are any local communities nearby the sanctuaries and parks, okay, so to protect that areas, that they are near to the park, right, so you must not like stand in do something that will rupture the park or the sanctuary, right. They should not start agriculture into the sanctuaries or something like that. So you take that part, okay, that village or whatever it is, as conservation reserve, okay. Conservation reserve, state it depends on the state. If they want to take it as conservation reserve, they can. They are not, if they don't want, they can skip it. It's not like compulsory. Community reserve, for certain communities, okay, tribal communities, you can take it as a community reserve. You won't be, outsiders won't be able to build their house and stay there, okay. That is just for the community, like that. So the state government may declare any private or community land as a community reserve after consultation with the local community or an individual who has volunteered to conserve wildlife, okay. Tiger reserves. These are areas reserved for the protection and conservation of tigers in India. They are declared on the recommendation of National Tiger Conservation Authority. So we learned about the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Okay, we have learned about it, and we have learned the sections, right? National Tiger Conservation Authority, 38K. Okay, we have learned about the section. We know who people are there inside. Okay, they will set some places if there are so many tigers and all. They will set some places for a tiger reserve. Okay, there are so many tiger reserves in India. Yes, this is one tiger reserve that is in Karnataka, I guess. So we are almost at the end of Wildlife Protection Act. So whatever you do, no need to take all the references. You can just download the BEAR Act. I told you how to download it, right? Go to Google and download the BEAR Act and read that if you have any doubts. So I'll just brief about Wildlife Protection Act. We've already seen what act it was, to protect the flora and fauna of India. Okay, the Wildlife Protection Act was implemented in 9 September 1972, 66 sections and 6 schedules. We've learned the definitions and all. I don't know, we want to explain every definition. The sections we have discussed: section 4, wildlife warden, who is wildlife warden, who appoints wildlife warden, all those things we have discussed. Section 9, prohibition of hunting, that we have discussed. Section 17A to B, prohibition of, that is for plants. Okay, prohibition of plucking plants or picking plants or sending plants as gift, all those things are prohibited. 38K, National Tiger Conservation Authority, we have learned about that. Section 51, penalties, that also we learned. Sanctuaries are places where you put a injured or abandoned species or abused animal wildlife into their own habitat and you protect it. Okay, human beings are allowed inside that. There are communities also allowed inside sanctuaries, no problem with that. Okay, Chief Wildlife Warden may grant you permission also go inside, take photographs, no problem with that. Scientific studies, everything, Chief Wildlife Warden allows it. That is sanctuary. Example, the Indian Wildlife Sanctuary in Ran of Kutch, that is in Gujarat. This is the wild ass. They were almost, people were hunting these wild asses and they were almost going into the extinction. Okay, they were almost going to be extinct. Then conservation authorities conserved this land just for the wild asses. So there are no predators in that land, nothing to hunt this, no hunting by humans, no hunting by animals, nothing is there. Animal hunting, because if there is lion and all, they'll hunt all this, right? So sanctuary is such a place, there is no natural predators also. Okay, they are freely living in their own natural territory, without natural habitat, without any predators or hunting, anything, just protected by the government. So now their population is increasing so much, so you can search for the park if you want. Okay, Ran of Kutch Wild Ass Sanctuary. National parks are something that is told by the government, so no human activity allowed in national park. Okay, no human activities allowed in the national park. No person shall destroy, remove. Okay, you learned that, right? You're not supposed to destroy anything, you're not supposed to remove anything, you're not supposed to alter anything inside national park. You can go for safaris and all, that depends upon the park. Okay, safaris and all is provided by the park, but you cannot take a motorcycle and roam around in the park. That is not possible. Okay, so that is all about national parks. Example, Bandipur National Park in Karnataka, Kaziranga National Park in Assam. You have so many national parks. You have your Jimkawa National Park, so many national parks. Okay, Kaziranga, one-horned rhino is there. Conservation reserves, the land which is near to national park or sanctuary, if there is any community living, government can declare that as community reserve. Okay, conservation reserve, sorry. Community reserve is for tribal areas, of these tribal areas. Okay, so for outsiders not to come and destroy all those things or build their houses there, you can declare that as a tribal area. Tiger reserves, no need to explain again about tiger reserves, right? We have learned about tiger reserve enough and more. So that is all about Wildlife Protection Act. So we have come a long way. We have learned IPC, CRPC, then we have learned Indian Evidence Act, then we have dealt with IT Act, then we have dealt with Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, so many laws. We learned with the Constitution of India also. Okay, so many things in mind, right? Don't mix them up. Okay, take your time and study one. Just one more remaining. Last and the final act, last and the final law which we are going to learn is Protection of Child from Sexual Offences Act. Okay, Protection of Child from Sexual Offences Act. Okay, children were explicitly used, like child pornography, children rapes against children, all those things were you can see the news, right? Those things are like common day. Every day we hear one news about those, like exploiting a child, sexual behavior with a child, sexual offences with a child. Okay, all those things, rape, everything. Okay, so you can see every day you can see one news about that. So because of that, Indian government started a law just for them, an act just for them, that is the Protection of Child from Sexual Offences Act. So child sexual abuse laws in India have been enacted as a part of the child protection policies of India. Okay, this act is for child protection policies, to protect the children. Okay, child protection policies. The Ministry of Women and Children Development. So there is a ministry known as Women and Children Development, Women and Child Development, Women and Child Development. That's a ministry act. So this campaign the introduction of POCSO. This act is also known as POCSO. Okay, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences, POCSO Act. Okay, so it was under the ministry. They only championed this act, the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Okay, POCSO Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act in 2012. Okay, so the Parliament of India passed the Protection of Child. POCSO Act was passed in 2011 and it came into act on 22nd May 2012. 2012 it came into act. Cause for formation. So what was the cause for this formation of a new act? 2012 they formed it, right? It's not very far. 2012 they formed it. What was the reason behind it? Okay, why didn't we just stick with CRPC and IPC? We had already so many acts. Okay, why were we not sticking with that? Why did you have to introduce a new act? It was because child sexual abuse was prosecuted under the following sections of Indian Penal Code. So before POSCO Act, there was no like child sexual activities were prosecuted under Penal Code, IPC. Okay, nothing in CRPC against that, nothing in CRPC, procedural law, right? So it was all in IPC. We were doing that with IPC. So we had IPC 375 for rape, IPC 354 for outraging modesty of a woman, IPC 377 for unnatural offences. Okay, now 377 unnatural offences, now it's like given little bit lease because homosexuality and all is prevalent in India now. So now 377 some courts doesn't take into consideration. Okay, it's going to be dissolved. So there were some lacking with all these. There were three main things, right? IPC 375, 354 and 376. There are so many lacking between. So the best thing is we can read that acts. So first one is your IPC 375. So IPC 375. Where is IPC 375? You can read about IPC 375. Yes. So IPC 375 defines rape. Okay, rape is defined in section IPC 375. Okay, what does it define? Rape. A man is said to commit rape who, except in the case hereafter accepted, has sexual intercourse with a woman under circumstances following any of these 6 following descriptions. These are 6 descriptions. So rape means having having sexual intercourse with a woman. First thing is against her will. If he is not against her will, okay, against her will, she is not allowing, but against her will if you are doing, that is rape. Okay. Okay, second one is without her consent. If she is not providing consent and if you are having sexual intercourse with her, that is rape. Then thirdly, with her consent, when her consent has been obtained by putting her or any other person whom she is interested in fear of death. You can see that in movies also. Okay, you try, robbers came, okay, they're raping a woman, they're putting their husband, like they will like, you are gonna kill your husband. Okay, one robber will be like, I'm gonna kill your husband. Okay, other woman, if I don't want to kill your husband, okay, then they will start, you have to do sexual intercourse with me. So things like that. So with her consent, when her consent has been obtained by putting any person in whom she is interested in the fear of hurt or death. Okay, then fourthly, when her consent, when the man knows that he is not her husband and that her consent is given because she believes that he is another man whom she believes, or so it is like she thought that it was her husband, but it was not her husband. Okay, she thought that it was her husband, but it was her husband, so she gave consent, but it was not her husband. Okay, so that cases, maybe they have like that cases, all those cases, like she has given her consent, she thought that it was her husband, but it was not her husband. Okay, twins, in case of twins and all, it has happened. Then fifthly, with her consent, when at the time of giving consent by reason of unsoundness or mixture. Okay, after intoxicating her, you made her drunk, after intoxicated her and you are taking her consent and you are having sex. So if you are having intercourse after intoxicating her with any drug, okay, anything, so that is also considered rape. Without her consent, when she is under the age of 16 years, explanation, so under the age of 16, if she is under the age of 16 years, so that is also, then exception is there. Sexual intercourse by a man with his own wife, the wife not being under 15 years of age, is not a rape. That is amended. Okay, now that is not prevalent, that is amended. So now you understood what is the fallacy between this, what is the problem with this section. Okay, a man is said to commit rape. So okay, firstly it is written a man is commit. Okay, it was like pointing a gender, a man, woman also can do, like male children are also abused. Okay, so a man is said to commit rape, all these cases with a woman, it's written clear here, with a woman. Okay, woman, it may not be a woman, man also can be raped. Okay, men also can be raped, children who are boys, they also can be raped, not just girl children. Okay, boy children are also getting raped. So this is one fallacy, because it is gender, there is a clear mention of gender, that woman is getting raped. Okay, so that is one problem with this. Then the other act which our problem was 354, section 354. of IPC that defines assault, assaulting someone. So assault or criminal force to a woman with intent of outraging her modesty. Whoever assaults or uses criminal force to any woman intending or knowingly to be likely that he will thereby outrage her modesty shall be punished with imprisonment of either term which may extend to 2 years of fine or with both. Outraging the modesty of a woman. So that was given here, but it is not clearly defined what is outraging of modesty. That was a fallacy with this. And here also outraging modesty of woman, it was also gender centered. Okay, that is another fallacy with this section. Then you have one more section, that is IPC 377. We will see what that section is all about. IPC 377. What is section 377? So whoever unnatural sexual practices are known as unnatural offenses. So whoever voluntarily has cranial intercourse against the order of nature with any man, woman or animal shall be punished with imprisonment for life or imprisonment for either a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. Okay, unnatural offenses. If you are having intercourse with unnatural way against the order of nature, if you are having intercourse with an animal or a man with a man, okay, all those things are unnatural. So that comes under this unnatural offenses. So now this unnatural offense is taken off because of homosexuality. Okay, Indian has so many homosexuality cases were there, and because of that court gave an opinion about homosexuality that it won't be considered in 377. Okay, so that was also mentioned here. So we can see the fallacies there. Unnatural offenses was also not defined. So it is just telling that whoever voluntary has unnatural offense, it is not defined. Unnatural offense is not defined. What is unnatural offense is not properly defined here also. So that is another fallacy for all these sections. Now we understood the fallacies for all these sections, right? So IPC 375 does not protect the male victims or anyone from sexual act of penetration other than traditional penovaginal intercourse. Okay, then IPC 354 lacks a statutory definition of modesty. It does not protect the modesty of a male child. Okay, gender centered. Okay, mainly woman only they are talking about, nothing about male or male child. IPC 377, the term unnatural offense is not defined. It only applies to victims penetrated by their attacker's sex act and is not designed to criminalize sexual abuse of children. Okay, only defining about attacker's sexual act but nothing about children. Fine. So why this is the main reasons why this POCSO Act was enabled, protection of children against sexual activities. Okay, or this is main reason why this act was enacted. So now you understood the fallacies in IPC, right? Loopholes in IPC. So because of that, this act was enacted in 2012. And what are the salient features of this act? In this act is gender neutral. There is no gender difference between the male child and you won't find that the girl is said to be, you won't find it out that like that. Only they will tell about only child. Okay, maybe it be girl or boy. There is gender neutral. Okay, this act is gender neutral. The act defines a child as a person 18 years of age. So in this act, a child is defined as a person below 18 years of age. Okay, not 16. They are defined as a child below the year of 18 years. Okay, that is why child marriage and all is prohibited, right? Everything to get married also you have to be above 18 years old. Okay, so child is someone who is below the age of 18 years. But in criminal records, if child is in 16 to 18 years and if you have the proper mentality, he knows what is a mens rea, okay, then he can be punished like a normal person, adult. Okay, so don't confuse it. Only in this act, child is under 18 years of age. It defines different forms of sexual abuses. Okay, people who traffic children for sexual purposes are also punishable. So people who are trafficking children for sexual activities, they are also punished here. So that is all salient features about this act. This act is gender neutral. This act defines a child as a person below 18 years of age. It defines different forms of sexual abuse. People who traffic children for sexual purposes are also punishable. Then one more thing is child pornography. We have seen the definition of child pornography in IT Act, right? We've learned about that in IT Act, but the definition was changed here. Okay, in this new act, the definition of child pornography was changed. So the new definition is, it defines child pornography as a visual depiction of sexually explicit content involving a child, which include photograph, video or digital computer generated image indistinguishable from an actual child, but image created, adapted or modified but appear to depict a child. So child pornography in IT Act was just children doing some sexual activities, right? But here it is not like that. If you are creating some animated movies also related to that, that comes under child pornography. Okay, it's clearly mentioned, which includes photograph, video or digital or computer generated image indistinguishable. Digital or computer generated image. Okay, animations are also digital images. From an actual child, an image created, adapted or modified but appears to depict a child. Okay, that is child pornography. So these are some sections mentioned inside. These are some sections that you will have to learn. Okay, these are some sections that you will have to learn. Only one page. Okay, only one page. These many sections only. So these are the important sections of this act. So that is section 3 and 4. There are so many definitions. Always when you take IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act, Wildlife Protection Act, whatever act is, there is second section, almost first section, they will define it. First section they will tell the title. Okay, first section they will tell about the title, what is CRPC, then how much is extending, all India or anything. Okay, except Jammu and Kashmir is not now, right? Okay, Jammu and Kashmir is now a part of India. Now that is changed. Jammu and Kashmir is also, this is applicable. So whatever act you open, first thing will be your short title, extent and commencement. Second thing will be always definition. You will have so many definitions what there is in the act. There will be so many definitions. You can read the definition from here. See, so many definitions. Yes. So chapter 2, section 3. Section 3 defines about penetrative sexual assault. Penetrative sexual assault. So a person. Chapter 3, yeah, penetrative sexual assault. So under that, the person is said to commit penetrative sexual assault if he penetrates his penis to any extent into the vagina, mouth, urethra or anus of a child and makes a child to do so with him. Okay, if he penetrates his penis to any extent into vagina, mouth, urethra or anus of a child and makes the child to do so. So that is the first definition of penetrative sex. So second one is you have four different subsections that defines about penetrative sex. So you have to read about this. Okay, 4 different sections. So first one is about if he inserts his penis into the vagina, mouth, urethra or anus of a child. Okay, for a child, that comes under penetrative sex. Okay, then also he inserts or extends any object or a part of body not being penis, not only penis. If he inserts any object into the vagina, urethra or anus of a child or make him do so, that or see, make the child do so. It is not mentioned girl or boy. Make the girl or boy do that. That is not mentioned. So this act is gender neutral. It is gender neutral. So that is another definition. So you have 4 different definitions for here. You have to read the definitions. Okay. So first one is penetrative sexual assault. And what is the punishment for that? 3 will be defining that and 4 will be defining the punishment. So that will be easy for you to remember, right? Because it's a relatively new act, they have did like this. Okay, after one section you have to give definition, second section if you give punishment, it will be easy for you to understand, right? For example, if you give murder in 300 and punishment in 302 IPC, right? Murder in 300, give punishment in 302, it will be confusing, right? You would have given it in 301. That will be easy for us to study also. So this is a relatively new act, that is why they have given in orderly fashion. So third is penetrative sexual assault. What is it is defining here, and what are the punishment? Punishment for penetrative sexual assault. Whoever commits penetrative sexual assault shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 7 years. Which shall not be less than 7 years. That means 7 years or more. Okay, but which may extend to imprisonment for life. Okay, 7 years to imprisonment of life. Between that you get punished. Okay. And shall also be liable to fine. Shall also be liable, it's not an option. Shall also be, you will get some fine also. It depends on the court what they are telling. Okay. So 3 and 4 is done. Then we will deal with 5 and 6, aggravated sexual assault and punishment. It's written here clearly, aggravative penetrative sexual assault. Whoever being a police officer commits penetrative sexual assault on a child. Okay, whoever being a police officer having sexual police officer, he is someone who has to do the duties of the government, right? Someone who has to protect the law. Okay, so if he is doing actions like that with a child, what are the punishments? And it's defined in section 5. that is aggravated penetrative sexual assault, whoever being a police officer commits penetrative sexual assault on a child. Okay, the places are also defined within the limits of the police stations, any premises outside any station house. Okay, they're all defined, so I won't be reading everything. Where a person is said to identify as a member of security or armed forces also. Also public servant, any public servant, government employees, any public servant also commits penetrative sexual assault. Anyone who is in the management of jail management, children, juvenile homes are there, right? Juvenile homes for children. So if in those places there will be officers, right? If they are doing this sexual activities with the children, everybody is mentioned here. Okay. Hospital also, staff of a hospital of government or private hospital persons. So read this section, then you will get to know who all are mentioned here. So what is the punishment for that? The punishment will be directly in the next section. Yes, what is the punishment for that? Punishment for aggravated penetrative sexual assault. Whoever commits aggravated penetrative sexual assault shall be punished with rigorous imprisonment. There are two types of Englishmen, simple and rigorous. Simple and rigorous means rigorous means you will have so many hard labor. Okay, you will be having hard labor. Okay, rigorous imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 10 years and which may extend to imprisonment for life. Okay, and shall also be liable to fine. Fine with that? Then 7 and 8. It's very easy, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8 is sexual assault and punishment. So what is sexual assault? Sexual assault is defined in section 7. Sexual assault is whoever with sexual intent touches the vagina, penis, anus or breast of a child, or makes a child touch the vagina, penis, anus or breast of such person or any other person, or does any other act with sexual intent, involves physical contact without penetration, is said to commit a sexual assault. Physical contact, okay, may it be on the vagina, penis, anus, breast of a child, okay, without any penetration, physical contact, okay, in an ill manner. Mens rea is always here. Mens rea means sexual intent. Here is mens rea, okay, his intention is sexual, that means he has mens rea in his mind, sexual intent, that is considered as assault. So what is the punishment for assault? Whoever commits sexual assault shall be punished with an imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 3 years, but which may extend to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, okay, and shall also be liable to fine. Fine with that section also. Sections are simple because the act is new, so sections are simple to understand also, not like IPC and all, old English is not there. Then which section we are defined, which we have to learn is sexual harassment. Yes, sexual harassment and punishment, that is 11 and 12. So what is sexual harassment? Any person is said to commit sexual harassment upon a child when such person with sexual intent utters a word or makes any sound or makes a gesture or exhibits any object or part of body with intent that such word or sound shall be heard and such gesture or object or a part of body shall be seen by child. Sexual exhibitionism, okay, exhibitionism means showing the part of a person for sexual intent, okay. Some people may show their private parts to children, okay, things like that happens, that is not sexual exhibitionism. So anybody who, or if you are telling something, utters a word or a sentence which is of sexual intent to the child, so that is also crime. So that comes under sexual harassment. You are harassing them with words and sight, okay. Makes a child exhibit his body or any part of his body so as to be seen by such person, okay. Shows pornography to child, that is also another section, shows pornography to child, okay. So repeatedly, constantly follows or watches the child by digital means, that is okay. So read all these sections. So Sexual assault mainly means it contains exhibitionism. Exhibitionism is showing pornography to children. Then what is it? Making the child exhibit some body parts for their gratification. All these things comes under harassment. You are harassing that child. Okay, child may not know all this, but you are harassing their child. You know all this, right? Because you are mature people. So all those things comes under sexual harassment of a child, and you will be punished under section 12. Punishment is whoever commits sexual harassment upon a child shall be punished with imprisonment for either description for a term which may extend to 3 years, up to 3 years, and shall also be liable to fine. Okay, up to 3 years and shall also be liable to fine. So there are more sections inside this, but I won't be explaining to all the sections because you already learned so much law. I won't be confusing the minds with so much sections. So this much is enough from this act. Okay, there are so many false report, the court of children. There is special courts. Then I have to tape record whatever the child is saying. You have to make the child comfortable. You will be sitting their parents. They'll have to make the comfortable when you're taking the statements. So many things are told inside this, but I won't be explaining everything. Whatever you need is there in this. So read these sections. Okay. So we are you can download the act from internet and read. So finally we are at the end of this. So we have finished IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act, then what we have finished, IT Act, then our Wildlife Protection Act and Constitution, and your POCSO Act. Okay, protection of children from sexual offences. So we have finished all the acts. So what you have to do is download the bare acts and start reading. I will send you the presentations. I will send you the presentation in group. Just study. Okay, start studying from today itself. Okay, or else you will confuse what is law, because there are so many sections. You will get confused between all the laws. You will get confused. So please start studying the sections. Okay, I'll send you all this. So we have learned about protection of child from sexual offences today. It was championed by the Ministry of Women and Children. It was enacted in the year 22nd May 2012, a relatively very new act because child crimes were increasing very much. Okay, what was the cause of formation? Because before that the child sexual activities were defined by the IPC, that is section 375, 354 and 377. You know the shortcomings or loopholes in all these sections. Section 375 doesn't protect male victims. Okay, then section 354 lacks the definition of modesty. Section 377, unnatural offence is not defined. All those things, problems, loopholes were there. Okay, so that is why we enacted this act, POCSO Act. So what is the salient features in this? In this, it is gender neutral. There is nothing like boy or girl. It's gender neutral. Okay, defines a child as a person below 18 years of age, and below. Defines different forms of sexual abuse. People who traffic children for sexual purposes are also punished. They defined a new definition for pornography also. So important sections you will have to study is child pornography. Important sections you will have to study is penetrative sexual assault and punishment 3 and 4, aggravated sexual assault and punishment 5 and 6, sexual assault and punishment 7 and 8, then sexual harassment and punishment 12, 11 and 12. Okay, so that will be it for it. So I will send you the presentations. You can learn from that. Fine. So I will send you the presentation. So thank you.